So here we go, Kazna crew versus Apex. The first round here, Kazna crew is attacking, and already here they're doing a kind of a little bit of a split.
Yeah, and like you said, it's actually Kazna crew attacking, bringing those mouses towards the south. That's not something I'm used to seeing. You know, a lot of people, if they see mouse, or mices as it were, it tends to be as a defense, but they're using it just for the HP pool and the raw armor just to be able to push through something. And it looks like Elian just blind firing in the north already towards photo finish.
Yeah, trying to get some shots there onto photo finish. Not connecting any of those so far. We can see already Kazna crew, they are obviously waiting for their mouses to get into the fight. Durst takes a shot there, but Apex, how have they dealt with this so far?
Yeah, well, if they spread out, I want to say normally, but looking at the position of this WZ of Nits sitting here around C5, C6, that's something that we saw a lot more out of some of the other teams, not so much something I'm familiar with out of Apex. The problem is he can be very easily isolated, especially if you look at Elian. If another Batchat maybe rotates up towards the north, between that and the tanks in the south, that's a tank that they could get down essentially for free.
Yeah, in the meantime, Durst taking a ton of damage there. Elian does connect the shot onto photo finish, connects two actually, but in return, just the damage Durst has taken is very significant here. One of the bad shots down to 383 already, and ooh, photo, I think he's in trouble here.
Yep, so he only took 2 shots, it looks like. Those mice are starting to work up the 6th line, and they should have shots if he stays lit, so he had to back off smartly, gets into the low ground, so he shouldn't be exposed, but in doing that, he no longer has that vision towards the north.
No, indeed, and interesting that they're using the mouses for this. Now, Canadian Impact will be joining photo finish over there, so obviously there's no room for Elian to make a play. And now the mouse, they are spotted. Nits should have shots. I mean, mouse, it's hard to penetrate, but that's not impossible.
Yeah, but, and you mentioned that you thought you'd see the Scorpion in the middle road, maybe on one of the ramps, but he's actually sitting here in the south behind the mice right now.
I'm not sure exactly what they're going to be using that for. I mean, maybe he goes there later, maybe they just want him to shoot zero line, because he does have a very good gun with that APCR penetration very high. But now we can see the rotation from Kazna. Stefan, Vetso will be joining Elian, and I don't know if photo finish and Canadian in that area is going to be enough to stop 3 batch shots from crossing.
We've seen the combo of photo finish and Canadian play this position before and done very well, but like I talked about, I worry about Nits right now. If they pull into A5 and stop short, they could focus out Nits very quickly. But it looks like actually Elian's gonna drop his clip and start the reload before that push even starts.
Yeah, and he took a very aggressive bush there. I mean, we don't usually see Batchats get into that area and spot it, and he took that bush. Will spot some sort of rotation, and obviously they're waiting now while the mouse of Isna takes even more damage now. But I think that this is the signal. Taking so much damage on the mouse, Vetso is crossing over now. High by Isna pushing forwards, and they want to get those shots, but all this time they're getting shot by Nits and photo finish, and they're taking a ton of damage for this.
Yeah, but this is why they bring these mice. They have the HP to sit there and be able to take these shots over and over again, but photo finish taking a lot of damage, and it looks like he's tracked actually.
Photo's in trouble. I mean, now the Batchats are crossing. So far, no damage on them whatsoever. Elian does take some, but now they're going to get across for limited HP damage in return. Now Canadian and photo finish, they have to hold on as long as they possibly can, because these Batchats should be making short work of them. Canadian trying to do what he can. He's getting shot now, and this is great from Kazna crew. They should be able to take down 2 tanks here. Canadian is the first to fall, and photo will fall very quickly.
Yep, and they were able to get him down, both of them down, so great push there out of Kazna crew, but now it's up to Apex to try to close this out, and Apex are actually sitting comfortably on HP right now. They're up by about 4,000, so they just need to hurry up and finish one of these flanks.
Indeed, very nice HP advantage here. Isna does not connect a shot onto Nits. That is very big, as Nits will have reload available any second here. Diplomat lets off a shot, doesn't connect that one either. Nits picks up Isna, very important kill there from him. And now Germ's coming in with a full clip as well, and I think he wants to finish off Vetso first. Stefan can't do anything about it, as he is still reloading for now. And Germ, he needs to start shooting, because Stefan's going to come off reload any second, and that's a free tier 9 Batchat.
Yep, definitely, but they're going to finish the Scorpion G in the south, and both the mice are down for Kazna crew, so it's Apex firmly in the driving seat right now. They're up by an extra tank. They have the positions. Now, however, Nits is in the open of that field still at this point. So he needs to be careful not to go down.
Indeed. In the meantime, Dodo picks up Diplomat, and Elian picks up Nits. Still though, 3 batch shots locked in that northern area. They can't really go anywhere. And look at it, external Okula still full HP, and this is not the start Kazna was looking for. I mean, they got their batch shots across, but they took so much damage on every single one of their other tanks that in the end it didn't work out.
Yeah, well, what I love out of Apex was, well, they lost Photo Finish and Canadian Impact in the north. They were able to take down that whole south flank very quickly. They got those mice down, as well as the Scorpion G, and then they were able to just box in these batch shots up into the north. So it was a good job just picking one flank, making sure it's one, and then dealing with the other last. So it's a bit of a sacrifice. You know, you give up 2 tanks, but you get down 3.
There's no real chance here for Kazna. And nice shot from Vetso onto Dodo. Connects that one, knocks out his gun as well. Very annoying in that 1-1-3, but I mean, unless Apex makes some major mistakes here, there's really no chance for them to lose this round. Germ should spot any rotation. None of the other tanks should be peeking. Just play it out. 4 more minutes, and it is on to Kazna to make a play.
Yep, absolutely. And Apex, you know, like we've talked about, they're a team that stays very, very composed. So at this point, they know they're up by a lot of HP. They have the extra gun alive. And they're just going to be sitting here where they can just keep an eye on all of these tanks from Kazna crew. But actually, look at this. Stefan's riding the red line, and he may actually get out of there in Germ's blind spot.
I mean, if he can get Germ, there is the potential here because, you know, those 50Bs, they're very far away. If Germ goes down, that is crucial because that gives Kazna the opportunity to take the bushes, to play the angles, and don't forget, Dodo has a damaged gun. He really can't do anything. And can Stefan do it? He lands the first shot, 372. Now German's repositioning, doesn't land the second. Takes another shot there. Nice one from Vetso. Peeks over, has to be careful now. He goes down to external. A little bit of an overextension there. The first shot was okay, but shouldn't have peaked the second. And now that little window of opportunity for Kazna has pretty much faded.
Yep, and like you talked about, Doma can't really do a whole lot as Stefan does take down Germ. So bringing it back 3-2, Apex still have 2 full health 50Bs though, which you have to think it's going to be pretty hard for Kazna crew to get them down unless they can really open up, get maybe into the south, open up some vision games.
Yeah, indeed, and if Vetso was still alive at this point, it would be a very big thing. I mean, I don't know why he stayed in a position where he could get shot by the 50Bs. He should have taken the shot back down again, and then they would be in a, I wouldn't say they're in a good position, they would be in a decent position.
A better position than they're in right now.
They could play the angles. I mean, they are bad shots, they have the relocation power, and those 50Bs, very big, very open. Stefan does get spotted now by Dodo, doesn't take a shot there, has the 1-1-3, but a damaged gun, let's say it's not the most accurate.
No, that gun's not accurate even when it's not damaged, so I'd hate to see it right now. Stefan fires off the rest of his clip towards the dome and starts his reload. And now Kula is actually going to go hunting for Alien in the north. 1 shot out, looking for the second, but it's actually going to be external that finishes it off.
Indeed, and now just Stefan left standing, and Apex here talking about the defense. They will be picking it up very convincing even. A lot of HP left here. Stefan with 1 minute and 47 seconds. I mean, even if he does every single one of his clips now, it won't be enough to kill all of them with the reload and the clipping in between. He just doesn't have the time to kill all of these players from Apex. He might be able to do some more damage, but that would also be, you can see a Kula Dodo just staring Stefan down and waiting for him to peek out.
Yeah, barring some miracle ammo racks, that is, but very unlikely. And at this point, just going to try to get some more distance, use the advantage of that bat chat, the speed and the camo, maybe try to find a place where he can use his greater view range against these 50Bs, but like you said, at this point it's pretty much over, so Apex should be able to pick this up, and now it's going to be Apex sitting in a nice position where they're actually going to be attacking next, but they have that first round win under their belts already. So you have to think that they won't be too stressed about going into it because they didn't, you know, drop that first round. They know that they're a round up, so they have that round to play with. So if they can't pick up an attack on Ruinberg, it's going to kind of just be, you know, they can just kind of shrug it off. Oh well.
You see a little bit of frustration there from Stefan as he, with heat ammo, tracked the 50B twice. Not the most reliable there either. Now 30 seconds left. There's a lot of time. Apex had a lot of time here to talk about the next round really already if they wanted to. You think they were already focusing on how they're going to approach their attack. I mean, they were in the driving seat for most of this round as external. Should be the one to pick up Stefan here. Drags him And it is actually Dodo from the far distance to pick it up, and then it would be Apex picking up the first round. That was good. That was solid.
Yep. No, definitely, and that's kind of what we talked about. Was Apex have done their homework. I liked how quickly they recognized. All right, Batch Heads are up in the north, the mice are down here, and they had a plan to deal with it. They had a couple tanks up north, just kind of stall them, keep the guns busy. They ended up losing them, but while they lost those two up north, they took down the two mice in the south. They got the Scorpion down, and they just left those Batch Heads boxed in. And then, the Batch Heads in the north, over peaking a little bit, going down when they didn't need to. You get why they're peaking. They want to get that gun down. If they can get Germ down on that bat, it opens up the rest of the map. But at the risk of going down yourself, it's kind of just one of those things where you're just kind of like, should you have done that? Probably not.
Probably not, indeed. And Kazna really costed them in the end. I understand there is his opening play. Going through the middle, that's fine, spotting. But after that, he just got caught off guard, it seemed like, taking so much damage there, which really shouldn't have happened. And if he's full HP, I mean, it could be a different game at that point. A full HP Batchat does change the game by far.
Yep, well, and I like the positioning out of Apex at that point, is they had Nitz on that middle road, so they had some of the angles that if he had tried to leave that rock that he ended up behind, he would have taken damage that way. Then you had two of the 50Bs in town that had the angles on the opposite end, so there really wasn't a whole lot of places for him to go, and that rock can't fully hide a tank from every angle. So, he just bled too much HP, and then when he tried to leave, he went down. And at that point, it's a tank up for Apex, and so even when Kazna tried to make that push, well, it started off decently for him, just didn't work.
Yeah, see the post-battle here, external in that 50B, 4k damage, is very respectable. Dodo as well, 3.2, those are some high damage dealers.
Yeah, definitely, and like I've said, you can see anyone out of this team put up those sort of numbers. Photo Finish, Akula, like I said, Akula during the NA Finals, even though he hadn't played with the team a whole lot before that, he just put up insane numbers. If there's one person that tends to kind of stick out for Apex as far as not being a consistent damage dealer, it's Germ, but he's also their call.
Yeah, well, maybe that's expected as well. And there's only getting one shot in his Batchat. That's what we talked about. If he has more HP, takes a better position, then could be a different round, but that's hindsight. But it could have changed a lot. Now Kazna has to shake this off. I mean, it is an attack on Ruinberg. I'd say there's always like 75% chance you're going to lose that. Especially, it's like, when you see a very good team play against a weaker team, for example in the leagues, like number 1 against number 10 and so on, then it looks like Ruinberg attack, it's not that hard. But that's because, the team doesn't really know how to defend. Once you get these teams here, Apex and Kazna, both these teams obviously know how to defend, so it becomes X amount of times harder to attack. Yeah,
well, the one thing that I've talked about a lot through the season is typically when you lose a defense on Ruinberg, it's more because you as a team made a mistake than it was the other team won. They did do a good job to kind of put you in that position where you can make those mistakes, but it's really at the end of the day, the destiny's in your own hands. So if you make the mistakes, you lose the round. If you do everything right, then you still win, and that's exactly what happened here with Apex. They kind of understood what they needed to do. They boxed in those Batchets up in the north, and they finished them off.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. Usually when the defense loses, it is an individual mistake usually. I mean, an overextension, an overpeak, getting tracked, getting killed, and bleeding too much as well. It is usually individual mistakes that really change Ruinberg defense. Now, looking at it, I'm talking about Apex here on the attack. I don't expect any shenanigans from them. Honestly, I expect them to go towards that eastern base. Do you agree? I think they're going to take it slow and steady, try and get that eastern base control, get that little town like you said, and try and work it from there.
Yeah, Apex, when they played Ruinberg this season, they really didn't touch the north a whole lot. 1 or 2 tanks kind of slipping around, maybe kind of late once they knew there wasn't anything left up north, but they never really tried any sort of raw aggression just towards that A6 village like we just saw at Kazna Crew.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be interesting, that as well. Now, do you think Apex can do it, pick up the second round?
I think it's definitely within the realm of possibility, especially if Kazna Crew makes some mistakes like they just made. Like we were talking about, it comes down to the defending team not making any mistakes, but we've already seen a couple out of Kazna Crew during that first game, so they need to tighten things up. They need to make sure that no one goes down cheaply, and if they give up a tank for free like they did that first round, then I don't see any reason why Apex can't walk away with a win on the second map, or second round anyways.
What do you think is the scoreline that Apex needs to come into Steps and Cliff? realistically, they need to be 2 rounds ahead. So they have.
Yep, I think a 3-1 lead would be comfortable for them going in there, because that just means 2 out of those 4 rounds they need to pick up, and you'd have to imagine a steps defense, as good as Kazna crew can be on steps.
Yeah.
You'd have to think that the defense should. That's another one of those maps where the defense should win, provided they don't make any huge mistakes.
Yeah, if you make the correct rotations, then it should be like that. So 3-1 coming out of
Hemmels.
Coming out of Hemmels. It is possible. I mean, talked to a little bit to the Ding guys before, and they said Apex is strong, they can do it. So, I mean, you're not the only one that has faith in Apex.
If that's the high praise coming from arguably one of the best teams here. So, now, kind of looking at it, right now, how do you think, taking Apex and Ding and Kazna crew, how do you think they'd stack up versus, say, Navi and Hellraisers in a month?
Oh, that is that is a tough question, especially because Kazna crew has a tremendously bad record against Navi. Playing against them on the grand finals, I think they managed to win 1 round in 3 matches.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was something like that. Yeah. No, that doesn't look good there. They have a really bad track record against Navi. They just can't seem to play against them. Every time they play against them, Navi just outplays them from start to finish. Yeah. So Ding perhaps, because they have Kuritz. Obviously he's not here, but their in-game leader, and I always say it, he works best against teams he know how they're gonna play. He's kind of maybe a little bit like Germ. You play something against him, he'll remember it for the future, and once you see it again, he's like, oh, we do this, and this to counter it. And Kuritz is the same, so he might be able to do something against the Russian teams, but Navi and Hellraisers, I don't know, man. They're still a class apart.
Absolutely. So, and you were just talking about, we'll actually get back to that point in a second, because we have our lineups here. It's actually going to be Apex attacking now. Now look at this attacking lineup. 430 v2, 2 113s, a tier 9 bat, and 3 bat shots. So a lot of bat shots coming out for Apex. Well, Kazna crew, 2 113s, 250Bs, a Skoda T50?
It's probably
it's got to be a TVP, because
Yeah,
they have the T54 lightweight. So, kind of an interesting lineup out of Kazna crew. Is this something that you've seen out of them before?
It's a standard lineup pretty much, because a lot of teams play it like this, so they can send the T54 lightweight down the 0 line. You can have the Batchat spotting the north, or one of the 113s, and you kind of play in between. But the 30 version 2 from Apex, we have seen that in the European region as well. It works very good in that 0 line because of the camo value as well. And if you let it do the TPM, then it's not a good situation. I mean, Kazna, I don't think they will give up 0 line though. I very much doubt that they will give up 0 line for free. There will be a fight.
So if Apex can, say, get that lightweight down, get control of that deep 0 line, that 430 v2 has great camo, plus the good frontal armor. So if he can kind of put it back there against the red line, kind of in that little depression, and he could sit there and get those shots off, it might be able to open up the rest of the map for him.
Indeed, but that depends on how much damage they take for taking that 0 line. Exactly, like Kazna needs to do a decent amount here, but the second round, let's get it on their way. 1-0 for Apex here. They are going to be attacking, and Kazna crew on the defense. And it'll be very interesting to see if they just send the T54 lightweight down the 0 line, or possibly the Batchat as well.
Yep, and it's actually going to be Canadian Impact from Apex heading towards the north, Elian and Haiba coming across towards A6, and it's actually going to be Haiba that's going to open up that same position that we saw Nitz in last game.
Yeah, you can see here the 430 version 2 in the middle road, and now 113 is coming towards the 6th line. I think it's going to be something similar to what Kazna crew did, perhaps. Yeah,
and the 113s are going very aggressive right now. Just getting straight in there, and that's the advantage, obviously, bringing the 113s over the mice. Is the speed difference alone. The 113s are already there, and it looks like they may just push straight up towards that Delta village here.
And the very aggressive stance here from Apex already. Those 113s, super aggressive. Diplomat takes a blind shot there as well. And now, what is the play here going to be for Apex? Because they took a lot of control here very early, but I mean, playing against Haiba in that position, he has the superior angle because he can peek out and shoot while they have to sit there stationary aiming for him. So they have to make a play at one point, but which one are they going to go for?
Well, in my opinion, it looks like they're setting up just try to counter this Delta village, really. They have the Doma and Akula both sitting in the middle road. Canadian Impact could quickly get there in that F line. They're just trying to use these 113s to light, but they have to sit here and work through this 113 at Haiba first.
You can just see the angle for the finish has. Haiba with a much superior position realistically there, because he can peek, he can play with it, he can pretend he's peeking, get them to shoot and then peek afterwards. Alien does get spotted out here again by Canadian Impact, but so far there's no real way for Apex to punish that. Maybe here Canadian can get at least 1 or 2 shots. Ooh, Alien takes a shot there, Canadian doesn't connect it, so probably from the 113s from the far back, and he has to play it very safe in that 113, because obviously if he gives up too much of his HP, that does give Apex the potential for possible A-line play.
Yeah, well, and then Canadian Impact's actually going to back out of the north. I was wondering if he was going to play kind of a sacrifice position essentially and just drive into A5, empty his clip into that 113 in the middle road, and then just try to drive away, because that would open up the whole map for Apex. The problem is Canadian Impact would most likely go down, especially if that 113 in the north kind of chases him and shoots him while he's reloading. But he actually chose to back away and heading towards the south right now.
Indeed, and Stefan will now be joining Alien. They're a little bit afraid of that play coming out here, but it will be interesting. I mean, Haiba has to play it careful. Durst takes a shot there as well, and Haiba obviously with a dead commander, that's always very annoying.
Yeah, well, Stefan's actually rotated through the north right now, and Canadian Impact may spot him out. Meanwhile, Haiba taking another shot. He's down to about half of his HP.
Yeah, I think it's for a finish, maybe Nits, but I know Photo connected the first one, and Haiba has to play very careful here. I mean, obviously, he has a superior angle, but it's a 113, it's not an IS-7. Top of the turret is penetratable, and there is 2 113s, so double the potential there for at least trade even, which is not ideal in his situation.
Well, look at this. It looks like maybe Kazna are getting ready to make a play of their own. They've actually brought Alien down here to balance it out. So 2 113s versus 2 113s, and the heat shell actually fizzes out on the side of that 113.
You can see there the damage. It was for the finish. 951 right now already done. So he's been the one connecting the shots. Well, Nits has been not so successful.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do against on that turret there, especially if RNG doesn't cooperate with you. Shots go wide, high. But Photo Finish, though, is taking a lot of damage in return, so...
Feels like they're in trouble here. Photo goes down to 471, and now Alien and Haiba, the combination, the two-way punch is really starting to affect, and now Photo is forced to play safe, and it's Alien and Haiba versus Nits here, and now it is time for Apex to make a move, make a reaction, because they are going to start losing these 113s.
Well, those 113s, being as aggressive as they are, it's going to force Apex to go the long way around. They have to cut all the way down to that red line, or they risk being spotted. If they're spotted, then all of a sudden the whole game plan's up right now. And Nits taking more damage right now. Kazna crew just punishing Apex for trying to hold this middle road.
Yeah, and you can see the angles. They're getting much better here for Kazna. Every time that Apex goes further back, this gives another potential here. But Isna went very aggressive, and he spots out Germ, but he is kind of caught out alone there, and no support. He gets 2 shots onto Germ, but there's going to be a lot of Apex tanks coming there very soon.
They're going to come up right behind him. He actually misses another shot. And here comes the Bat Chats, get him behind him, and they should get him down here for free.
He's using the inside of that house. They have to peek if they want to kill him at this point. So not all is lost, and in the meantime 113 is still playing against each other, but Apex actually has an HP lead in this round.
Yeah, they're still doing decent. They're not in a great position yet, but they need to open up this south before this becomes something that they can salvage. It's actually Dodoma in that 430 V2. That's something that we're not quite used to seeing. Dodoma down at tier 9. But he's sitting there on that ramp, and so if these 113s do decide to try to push further south here, he'll be able to punish them.
What happened to Alien though? I mean, look at his HP. He's now down to 637. He was pretty much full last time we saw him, so maybe Photo and Nits not doing too bad after all.
Maybe Nits finally doing some damage. Externals can come around and just finish off Yuzny.
I don't know why he's there. Doesn't make any sense. Akula does take some damage for that, taking 2 shots
from
here.
that TVP.
Yeah, Diplomat in Zerland, he does get spotted out, but I mean, there's no real reason why Isna was in that area to begin with. That is giving away that tier 8, and we talked about those mistakes. It felt like that was one of them.
Yeah, definitely. So Apex doing well right now, and the thing is look at this setup from Kazna crew. They only have the 250Bs in the Delta Village, and they have the TVP in the south. Those 113s shouldn't really have too many shots down here, especially with the 113s in their face. But now that they've distracted them about the south so much, they're actually stacking up, and it's just Stefan alone at A6, and he's not even in a position to spot the north.
Yeah, and we can see here Apex they are gearing up for that play, and is Stefan going to be ready for it? I mean, he's going to have to pull out some magic tricks here if he wants to survive.
Yep, and the 113s in the south here for Apex, they should have shots if he tries to run towards the north, so I don't think there's going to be anywhere left for him to go. And all four of these Batchats just coming streaking in here. Akula is actually going to trail looking for the shots as he runs.
Stefan here, he tried to make a shot, and now these Batchats, they're coming close. He should be able to get out for now at least, and they are taking a lot of damage, and Stefan speaking out, lands the first. He needs a second to finish him off though. He gets safe around the corner, but now he will be able to do a lot of damage, and he might be able to kill at least a tier 9 Batchat if they come from it. It's going to be Germ, and meantime Hyber goes down though. Durst picks up Nitz, and Stefan here needs to get at least one more shot out. He does pick up Germ, that's huge. External goes down in the meantime, and the play from Apex, it didn't seem to work out.
And the bounce onto Canadian Impact, so he does finish off the tank, and now Apex are in a not the greatest position. They're down by about 2,000 HP. Dodoma was able to clean up those 113s, but not until they had already killed Photo Finish and Nitz.
Great clip there from Diplomat connecting 3 onto Dodo, and Dodo is really in a lot of trouble here as Ilian picks him up from the back now with 80 seconds left on the cap, and only 2 tanks left standing for Apex. Both these teams doing what we expected them to do. Very strong showing on defense.
Yeah, absolutely, and I do like what Apex did to a certain extent. However, the problem is that the timing of it was a little bit predictable, and you could tell that Kazna crew had a pretty good idea of what they wanted to do. Once they knew those Batchats were in the north, they knew that they could have the isolation in the south, pretty much the same thing we saw the round before. They could get those tanks down for free, they could deal with the north second, and that's exactly what happened here. As
Akula goes down, it will be 1-1 here between these two, and that was, I mean, yes, Kazna bled a lot of HP. Some unnecessary play there from Isna as well, I felt like. I mean, there was no need for that at that point whatsoever, but they did hit their shots when Apex tried to make the play, and Ilian and Hyba, you could say they got the better of those 113s, maybe not in HP, but at least the positioning, it forced Apex to react in ways that wasn't so beneficial to them.
Yeah, well, and what he did was kind of a bit of a gamble there in the south with that lightweight, but you could kind of imply what he was going for in just terms of he's just trying to see if those 113s are alone, because if they can find out where those Batchats are, they can find those isolation. Even being the defensive team, you can push onto those 113s if he's there alone and get those 2 tanks down for close to free before those Batchats can get in there. So I think he was just kind of trying to get aggressive and see if there was an opening. However, it backfired. The Batchats came in there. He got picked off. So it's one of those things that's just kind of a gamble. It's, you know, it's one of those great plays if it plays out, but in this case it didn't.
You can see Nitz there in his 113, decent amount of damage, but no real standout performance here. The thing to note, you know, Kazna taking up spots number 2 to 6, so a lot closer spread in damage pretty much than Apex, which really won out for them in the end. Both Ilian and Hyba doing a decent amount of damage there on their 113s, and Diplomat doesn't seem to be having any issues with stress.
Yeah, definitely, and you know, if you look at it, Canadian Impact in that Batchat at 1,500, and the rest of them down here on the south, so even the Batchats weren't really able to get through, you know, get a full clip of damage off, essentially, which isn't necessarily something that we're used to seeing out of Apex.
The good thing there from Stefan was he saw that his teammates, or they called that they were taking down the 113s, after which he decided to stay, because we see a lot of Batchats, you see them run over the A-line instead of playing where he did, and he decided to take the fight. Yes, he knew he was going to go down for that, but he took Germ, he did a lot of damage, he did pretty much his clip, and that was an important factor as well, because taking down Germ, you are removing a lot of potential damage with that tier 9 Batchat.
Well, and the thing that, the big picture thing that really happened there was by playing that position and kind of slowing down those Batchats, putting them down to a one-shotter, making them play cautious, it took them out of the fight for a little bit until they could take him down, and that bought Kazna crew the rest of the time they needed to kill those 113s in the south and kind of clean all that up, just like we saw out of Apex the round before. So, you know, it's not necessarily that he was there and did a lot of damage, it's just he denied that position, he made it so his Batchats couldn't turn and get shots off elsewhere, and they were able to go in and clean up the middle road in that time that he bought for them.
Yeah, indeed, but you talked about 3-1, which does mean that they're going to have to win Himmelsdorf 2-0.
Yep, well, and looking at it, you know, Ruinberg was a map that you kind of felt was always going to go to the defender.
I always say it's a 1-1 map. I mean, between two good teams, 1-1, always.
Now here coming into Himmelsdorf, though, that's a map that's gone, it's kind of shifted back and forth depending upon the meta over the years. Back at 754, it was very defensively sided for a little while, but now it's kind of definitely opened up. There are a lot of creative attacking strats that you can do that do really make those teams kind of rotate into your guns if you can get set up. And so I feel that, you know, Himmelsdorf could be the opportunity for Apex to get that, you know, that extra round lead that they need right now.
Perhaps it's a very rotation-based map now. You can do a lot of interesting things, like you talked about the baits and stuff. And let's take a look here at the tanks and Kazna crew defending with the double T10, and like you talked about, high alpha TD there, probably playing about Doroma. This strategy from Kazna, it looks like perhaps a courtyard control, like we like to call it in Europe, where, you know, you close down the 8 line, you close down the D line, and you kind of pin them in.
Yep, the thing is with those 50Bs is if they aren't quite effective with their clips when that happens, it could be that that's the opportunity that Apex need to make that push while those 50Bs are trying to reload.
Well, it does seem like our next map is ready. Can Apex win it 2-0? So James is happy. Let's find out on Himmelsdorf.
Himmelsdorf, a small city map. The teams start the battle in opposite corners. Both bases are located close to each other, but in a way that you can't stay on the defensive all the time. The main attack routes pass through the hill, the alley and the railroad, but in general, the attack can be successfully executed through any part of the map. Heavy tanks and tank destroyers with powerful guns run the show here. However, a lot depends on the mobile light tanks.
So here we go, Kazna versus Apex, 1-1. Kazna on the defense, Apex on the attack, and look at this aggressive stance here already coming out from Kazna crew.
Yeah, but also out of Apex, they're playing aggressive in the south. Canadian Impact's making the normal scout run. He's heading over towards the 2-3 line, and he actually cuts up north, so he won't spot this push coming out of Kazna. Germ up on the hill trying to spot. Photo finish all the way up the 8 line right now. And Apex playing very aggressive despite being on defense. Now Kazna, all their tanks are in the south. They have nothing up the 2 cap, and Canadian Impact's actually not in the greatest position to spot them.
No, indeed, and you can see Isna here. I mean, Apex did get a lot of information, but Kazna crew, they are going aggressive here, and he needs to get out of there because they need to run away now and take a different position. Already some damage onto Haiba, but another shot taken here by Alien as well. He did not expect Canadian to stay around in that area, and so far, Kazna, they are doing some damage, but they are spotted out completely by Apex.
Yeah, definitely, and right now, Canadian Impact just trying to back off, and Nit's very widely starting to back up before he gets isolated, but I think he needs to back off even further at this point, because at 50B, he only has that one clip. He can't deal with a full push out of Kazna crew.
No, indeed, and Apex, I don't know if they're aware of this. Diplomat, Stefan, Isna, they're all coming. And
but they don't know Nitz is there. Look at this. If they start this engagement, Nitz could pop out behind them and get a free clip off.
Indeed, but I think the focus here is going to be on external. Stefan comes around the corner, the first shells come in, and he did not expect it. Already 837 taken. Stefan is trading in return, but they should be able to take down external at least, but they actually lose Haiba in return, and these trades, they're not ideal for Kazna. I think Apex is getting the upper hand of this engagement so far.
Yep, and they're going to go ahead and push around. They know it. They know those 50Bs are reloading, so they're trying to get this 113 out. But here come Vecco and the other 50B of Stefan.
Yeah, they're coming for the counterplay here. Photo finish in the I-7, tries to run. Here it will go nowhere as the Kula now on reload. Can't do anything either, but Apex still firmly in control here with the HP. 4.8 for Kazna, 7k for Apex, and yes, they've lost a lot for this, but they are fine. Apex holding on strong here, and Kazna crew kind of driving into where Apex wanted them.
Yeah, definitely, and even Doma up on the hill in that grill was able to find shots there on the south, especially when they poked around onto external. And looking at it right now, it's just up to Apex. They just need to regroup their tanks. They're so spread apart right now, and you can see that Kazna is trying to get all their stuff together and find the isolation. And they may find Nitz here completely isolated by himself. Doma is not even in position to support him.
Yeah, but Nitz here might be able to pick up Vet, so at least he comes around the corner. He goes down. Only 2 tanks left standing here for Kazna crew, and I think Apex, they will be able to hold on. Nitz goes down. Only Isna and there's left, and Dodo Canadian. And there's a lot of tanks here left for Apex, and Dodo is about to make a big shot here.
Apex like sharks in the water right now, and they smell blood. They're coming in here, swarming for these last couple of tanks. And it's just going to be this last T10 that's going to go down. Canadian Impact coming around should finish them off.
Great stuff there from Apex, as Dodo is the one to pick it up. 2-1 here, and that was pretty good. The angles they had left, I thought external was really in trouble, but there was the crossfire coming in, and Haiba, how he went down towards Dorma from the hill, I don't understand how that is allowed to happen pretty much. When you make that kind of counter push, you know where the grill is going to be, yet they did not seem to anticipate it.
Yep, well, and they may thought that he was looking maybe towards the north or still over towards that 3 line trying to find a different angle, but he was already positioned on the south end of that church up there, or a castle anyways, and just is able to get those shots off down towards the south. And so that's the thing about that whole setup, and that's why teams go through these different phases of the strats. They don't go straight to, we're going to go set up by this cap. They start off, all right, we're going to sit here for a minute, kind of feel them out, and it leaves them in a decent position. So if the defense does something crazy like that, where they push in through the south, very aggressive, they're just able to punish. And look at the damage here out of Dodoma.
How is Dodo allowed to do 4.2k damage here? He was on the hill most of the game, and he did 4.2k damage. Now, that is big mistakes from Kazna crew, it's fair to say. Nice shooting from Dodo, yes. Should he be allowed to do this damage? No.
Arguably no, exactly. And, you know, looking at it, down here on the second page, you know, even Photo Finish and Germ just not really able to get in there. Haiba just getting isolated. But just overall, just a great play out of Apex in terms of just baiting Kazna crew in. They got very aggressive, and then you'd have to argue that it definitely was a misplay by Kazna to let Dodoma get off so many shots. You know where he's going to be, and they know the angles.
Yeah, they know exactly what angles he has from there, and they should have played around it, but it didn't seem, I don't know, a little bit of confusion perhaps, because, I mean, the play could have worked if they take down external very quickly. Gun in the game is more important than HP usually, so...
Well, and you have to argue that that may have also been a problem, was they didn't take external down with that first push. They gave up a lot of HP, and they didn't even get a tank out of it. They had multiple 50Bs there that missed shots, bounce shots off that 113. If they had gotten that 113 down, they may have been able to kind of save the rest of that game.
But it wasn't coordinated, because you saw Stefan poke the corner before 2 or 3 of his teammates were even there. So it didn't seem like fully coordinated, didn't seem like they were all on the same page or all actively aware of what was happening. And then afterwards, yeah, they tried to make up for it, but they lost so much HP at that point when the autoloaders came back off reload for Apex. I mean, Nitz, yeah, he was kind of isolated, but then he got support. And now Kazna crew here, this is a very offensive lineup here, very light as well.
Yeah, double bat chats, 2 T10s, and then 3 50Bs. Meanwhile, Apex, just like we talked about earlier, bringing an IS-3, most likely going to see him out towards the 1-2-3 line, maybe in the train station. But once again, bringing that grill. I mean, it worked so well last round. Let's see if we can make it work again. So pretty standard lineup out of Apex. They weren't a team that really favored the IS-3 early in the season, but we'll have to see how they can use it now. Looking back on Himmelsdorf, especially on defense, they've always been a team that's kind of used some weird lower tier tanks. If you remember back to the days of 754, they were a team that brought the OI in the north.
I remember vividly even bad memories about that one. But Kazna here, they have the good thing though about against the lineup of Apex. The autoloader potential for them is much, much higher if they can track Dota, for example, or the 113s and get out afterwards. I mean, they need to kill things. They need to pick off targets here one by one. That's the goal.
Yeah, put some shots going out towards Veko, and he actually takes 500. So a bit fortunate that nothing bigger connected, but a lot of shots going off towards him. And he's just sitting there rocking back and forth, hoping no one hits him. And he can't really leave right there, so he's stuck pretty much in this position, or unless he wants to take a lot more damage.
Well, he's going to get hit at one point. Dodo is aiming on him with the grill as well. Either he gets away now, or he is in deep trouble. And there already comes a shot from Akula. Petso, he needs to dodge as best as he can, get his inner Neo out. 903 HP left on him, taking another shot down to 457, and external picks him up. And this is not the start for Kazna crew. Vetso goes down in first minute of the game pretty much. That was a major misplay.
Yep, and that's exactly what I was talking about. This puts Apex well onto the path to getting that 3-1 lead that I talked about that they needed right now. And something else to point out is Apex, despite using a different tank, bringing the IS-3 right now, this is a very similar strat to what they always do. They kind of use a tier 8 up in the north, just kind of spot. They used the 5100 a lot before, now switching for that IS-3, the consistent fire. Maybe live a little bit longer, but Stefan is just going to come rolling in here. Now it's going to be interesting to see if they just push across onto that IS-3. However, Apex is already rotated in here to kind of keep him alive. He's actually going to get a shot, bounces that IS-3 in that position, side scraping. Pretty solid tank, extremely hard to dig out. However, it's not impenetrable on like an IS-4.
But Ilian goes down now as well towards photo finish. In the meantime, Diplomat already down to 894, and Kazna crew completely falling to pieces pretty much in this round. 7 tanks against 5, and they have nowhere to go as they can't deal with German at IS-3, and this is trouble for Kazna crew.
Yep, and they do get some more pens onto Germ. He's bleeding a good bit, just down to 745. He just needs to live for a little bit longer. But now it's going to be up to the tanks in the south for Apex to rotate in here and really box the rest of Kazna crew in right now. But two guns extra alive for Apex at this point.
4 HP as well. I mean, what can Kazna do against this? I don't see any potential. They can't even use the angles. I mean, they're surrounded at this point. Canadian has them locked in from that side as well. They're coming around the corner. Diplomat down towards Nits. 4 tanks left standing here for Kazna crew, and it doesn't look like Apex is about to sit it out. They're coming in for the kills, and this is great stuff here as Dodo comes around the corner. Well, he's going to do a big shot onto Derzer. Nichter, he goes down towards a 1-shot as well, and Apex, can you believe it? They're going to make it 3-1.
Yep, they're just all over Kazna crew right now. They got that early pick, and they just kept momentum up. So often we see teams kind of drop off after they get that first pick. They kind of go back, all right, we have a lead, now let's just kind of cool it and back off. And Apex did the exact opposite. They just went for the jugular after they knew they got that first shot in.
That was a disastrous round from Kazna, it's fair to say. That was not good. I mean, that initial play from Vetso, you need to keep going there. You can't stop. We saw Sperma spotted, and after the initial shots come in, he should have tried to run away at the very least, because he is not safe in that position. It was a matter of time before he went down, and after losing him, Kazna got forced into a rotation. Diplomat got shot down in the 8 line as well, and I don't know, this entire play from Kazna felt a little bit off. With those double bad shot, one of the things people like to do is go for that quick cap, and we saw with the setup from Apex, they could have easily peeked around the corner and shot down Germ and started capping again, which we have seen happen.
Yep. Well, and it was the timing just worked out for Apex because Dodoma and I believe Nits and the 50B had just gotten up towards the north just in time to make sure Germ didn't get pushed on, or if he had, they would have been there to punish it. If Kazna had made that rotation maybe 10 seconds sooner, they may have just been able to roll in, finish off Germ, and then roll back to where they could start the cap pressure. But timing didn't work out for them. They weren't able to get Germ down. They were able to work him down a little bit, get a few shots into him, but overall, just look at this external in that IS-7 just being very aggressive. 3,200 damage, which isn't bad for an IS-7, and then Dodoma, another 3.1 on Emmelsdorf in the Grill 15.
That's about 8k damage on 2 rounds. Very, very good 4k average. I mean, external, I think he got the first shot onto Vetso and he got the finish off as well. And just the first 5 players from Apex tells enough of the story. I mean, the Kazna crew never got into this round. It was lost as soon as Vetso went down, pretty much.
Yep, and this is something, just within this round, let alone the whole match we kind of talked about as far as Kazna crew is once, one thing kind of goes wrong for him, it kind of snowballs, and whether that's, just the momentum for this one game or for the whole series, we kind of saw it there. They lost that one bat chat, and from that point on, everything was just kind of discombobulated. There was no, you could tell there was kind of a loose plan, like, all right, guys, this is what we're going to go do right now because we're down and we have no other choice, but, you didn't really see them really try to open up anything.
Yeah, no, they went down the 8 line but left Elium behind. Afterwards, Apex doing the right thing, coming to kill Elium, obviously. And then Kazna is locked around that northern base. They get surrounded, and Apex just comes around the corner. It's like, we got 5k HP more than you, let's just kill you and move to the next round. But they have the 3-1 lead. The next 2 maps are Kazna maps, though. We talked about it. We think they're Kazna maps. So is it enough?
Yep. Well, and they still have to be played right now, and now Kazna's down 2 games. So could we see the momentum kind of come in here? You said that, Steps is a map that should go to Kazna. However, the momentum's not in their favor right now, and Apex may be under their skin. So if Apex can especially get the first win right now, I don't know what side they're starting on, but especially if Apex are starting on defense, if they get that win, all of a sudden that's Kazna crew on match point.
Yeah, indeed. That's a very important thing. Especially that last round is one of those rounds that really throws you off, and Kazna will be attacking here first. So like you said, if Apex picks up this one 4-1, I don't think Kazna can recover it. Now, if Kazna picks up this one though, then they're like, okay, we won the attack, now we're going on defense. So then it's all open again. But IS-7, 5 bad shots for Kazna, and RU-25 on standard, and Apex 2140. instead of double 113 we usually see.
Yeah, definitely. But then both teams bringing pretty similar lineups. Just the only difference is the 140 versus the extra bat chat. So bringing a little bit of consistent fire. So if a brawl breaks out, we may see it. We may also see that 140 boosted possibly.
Yeah, indeed. And can Apex put themselves onto match point, or is Kazna crew going to come back? Let's find out on Steps.
Steps, the most open map in the league. The attacking team appears near the rocks at the bottom of the map, and the defending team starts at the top. Bases are located near the railway and on the green. The best way to control them is to use the lowland near the second base. The attacking team usually begins the attack from the rocks and the railway, but sometimes they can attack through the green. Teams often drag vehicles from flank to flank, so both teams usually pick light vehicles with a good camouflage rating, but sometimes use tanks with a strong turret and even SPGs.
Kazna crew versus Apex here. Kazna will be attacking Apex, currently 3-1. North American first seed here, showing how it's done.
Yeah, well, first time for everything, I guess. Photo finish pushing across the north there in that 113. But the rest of his team is heading south very aggressively, and Yizny in that RU is through that field right now, and a lot of shots going off towards him. He finally takes a shot, but Elian sitting there already lined up on Akula, so blow for blow there.
He's there getting a little bit lucky that their shots missed. Ooh, nice one. Takes another one here. That's a great shot there. Photo trying to get that one on the move. Did not connect that one. He's there, still alive, which is the most important thing here. Kazna, they took a lot of map control at RU251. It is expendable on Steps, obviously, and that was a good start here for Kazna crew. Good that they were supporting Isla very, very well, because if he went down, that would have been trouble.
And look at this out of Apex. They've already grouped all their tanks back up towards the north, and it's only Photo up here. So we could see some more aggression out of Apex despite being on the defense. Nitz has already dropped his clip and is reloading right now. External does get spotted, so now Kazna are going to know that they've rotated out of the south already.
Lead Stefan there getting spotted. Perhaps he was lining up to do the climb. We see attackers like to do it as well. There was a spotter there, so he didn't go for it. But, I mean, this is a good start for Kazna crew, I'd say. I mean, as defender, it's now very hard to defend that #1 base for a very long time. Obviously, compared to other formats where you had T54 lightweights, for example, they can keep blind shooting. But Stefan here, taking a lot of shots, half HP already. Not ideal at all for that bad shot. But as I was speaking, with those bad shots, it's very hard to keep blind shooting because obviously at one point you're reloading.
Yep. Now the one thing that I'm not a big fan of is like I said, Apex. They pulled other tanks out of the south after they saw them down there and they're towards the north. In my opinion, anyways, if you don't have solid control of the south, or at least the 7-8 line, you need to push across the north and you need to make sure that one cap's clear and in your favor. And they did neither. They gave up the south, but they didn't push and take any of the isolations they could have possibly had in the north. And so now this kind of leaves them in that awkward spot, and they have to retake the south at this point because they can't go north. And they don't know what tanks have been left down there and what positions and how many and the numbers. So it's going to be very difficult for them.
It's a gamble, and anywhere they go, they can take a lot of damage. There's going to be somebody boosted in K1, and it becomes a guessing game pretty much. And this is why a lot of the defenders, they like to go for that A-B line play with the RU251 boosted up. And Apex, I mean, this is really, I don't think this is a good position for them.
Yeah, well, and Canadian Apex pushed all the way down towards the south. He's going to get up onto that K line, maybe try to find some shots towards Veko. But Elian's going to be in a pretty good spot, and I don't think there's really going to be anyone that can deal with them. But as I say that, both the bat chats from Apex are pushing just straight across right now, and they have 2 on the south, so they could get this overmatch.
Yeah, but they are spotted too, and that is the most important factor. Nitz has already taken shot after shot from Elian, only 2 left. Betso is there as well. Nitz did not expect that one. He should be going down to a 1-shot here. And in the meantime, the cap is still going. Does get resetted now, but Apex is losing a lot of HP here as Nitz goes down towards Elian. And like we talked about, this position for Apex, it is not good.
Well, but this is the point where they need to make that trade count. They lost Nitz and Batchat versus Batchat. They have more of them, though, so they should be able to get in there and punish these Batchats from Kazna crew in the south. However, Photo Finish goes down for free from Durs. Yeah.
Now they will be losing Elian. That's okay though. Vetso is already out. They traded 2 for 1 here. They are slightly up in HP, but the most important factor here to note is that they have pretty much control over that A-B line. Only Germ there to do anything against it. And Kazna crew, they should be able to play out from here because now, again, who is Apex going to send to spot the cap if Easily gets back on there? They lost photo finish already. They have Germ, and they're still 5 minutes and 40 seconds.
Yeah, but Germ's a two-shotter, and there's these Batchats that are all lining up along this E2 bridge right here, and they'll have clean shots across that field, so if he tries to push in towards C5, the spot that we see used a whole lot, he's not going to get there alive.
No, indeed. Now, Isna, obviously, being a one-shot, he has to be careful, has to take a good position on that cap, but this is where the I7 really gets into full effect. I mean, this is a bad position for Apex, to be fair. They have no angle where they can possibly come from that will not be spotted by Kazna crew. They have everything covered, and HP, they have no advantage whatsoever. Time is not in their favor either. They really don't have anything going for them. What do you think is going to be the play for them? Because right now, it's not looking good.
Well, there's only two plays I can see in my head, and only one of them's worth taking, really. It's either group up and just try to catch Haiba out while he's isolated, but they don't know where the other Batchats are, so they don't know that he's isolated. Other than that, it's group up and push and try to come in behind the 1-2 or up the middle road, but once again, they're blind pushes, you have no intel, you're down on HP already, they're down by 1,000.
And they'll be spotted as well.
Exactly, so I don't see any real way here for Apex to get into this round.
And look how aggressive Haiba already went over there. I mean, he has all the information. Now Canadian gets spotted as well. Apex here, they have to come. Haiba takes a shot from Akula, but seeing all these tanks, he also knows that all of the rest of Apex is not in position. Akula is going to be in trouble here. Germ is taking shots. He goes down. Canadian now pushing across to try and reset the cap. Durs misses the shot, but Apex here, they're losing tank after tank. Canadian will soon to be followed again. And this is, we talked about his steps. It's looking like Kazna Crew's map as the Canadian goes down towards Durs, and now External, he's in trouble as well, and this is Kazna Crew's round. They are recovering. Diplomat will come over, finish off External, and they're coming in with a vengeance here, going to make it 3-2.
Yep, so like I talked about earlier in the round, when Apex pulled out of the south there, they didn't establish any sort of map control. It didn't leave them with any options, really. You have to push out somewhere to leave yourself with some option. If you stay up in that north corner and the other team's as aggressive, all it takes is one light tank to pretty much just leave you with no options, and that's exactly what happened here.
Indeed, and only two tanks left standing, Doro and Akula. Durs misses the shot there on Doroma, but it's only a matter of time, really. Haiba might go down here towards Akula as he's playing those cheeky angles with the 140, which is very, very hard to deal with. Haiba might be going down Akula. One more shot will do the job onto Haiba, but it doesn't matter as 29 seconds left on the cap. Kazna Crew, Akula does pick up Haiba. Durs should finish off Akula, and steps, we talked about it, didn't look that good, and Durs can't finish off Akula as he bounces twice in a row. He needs his teammate to come in, but Vetsa's like, don't worry buddy, I got you. As Kazna put him 3-2 here, Apex still in the lead, but that was not the greatest showing on steps. That was not good. Fair to say, just the entire play seemed off.
Yeah, I like the opening play out of Apex as far as get aggressive in the south, challenge, kind of spot stuff. And I don't mind them pulling out of the south, but the thing is, if you pull out of the south, you have to take the other. You have to establish something. You have to find some ground where you have a good presence and you can open up some vision and not leave yourself boxed into a pocket.
If you want to make this play, it possibly would be better to, like the play they made is okay, trying to catch out somebody crossing over, but what was Germ doing all this meantime? I mean, it is possible to do the climb in A3 with the RU251. He's quick enough. He possibly should have gone for that, because you see the defenders, like you said, you need to take one thing, right? So if they want to take that south area, then do the climb with the RU. Do the A3 climb with the RU, because when they go to the other side, then they do the climb on the eastern side.
Yeah, and look at Kula doing 4,100 damage. And when we look at the other damages here, to finish your point, he was out there in front of Photo, and you got to remember, Photo was in that 113 isolated, so he was essentially out there just to make sure Photo didn't get isolated and taken out by a bunch of Batchats rolling around, because they didn't know for sure they were going to be in the south. But as you said, there could have been other places that Germ could have gone to leave them some presence in the north, either A3 or even further over towards some of the other pockets, maybe just further out there to get some more vision and get more solid intel. And then the whole play with Photo finish, outside of maybe a couple early shots, I'm not entirely sure what the plan is to have him over there if you're not planning to push across the north and retake it, because he just had to run at that point, so he ran back to the other Batchats. But if
he had to spot the cap, I guess, because when they went south, 4 of them were spotted, so Kazna Crew reacted by putting Diplomat on the cap as well. So Photo had to spot, but at that point Durs had already rotated, and play really fell to pieces there.
Well, and what you have to wonder is, with Photo Finish starting off towards the west as he did, was it Apex's plan originally to open up towards the south and then pull back and rotate through the north with him already there?
Was it on the fly? Was it on the fly?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Did they make that adjustment when they feel it? Was it Germ kind of second-guessing himself or something, or what went on there? Because it was just felt like an odd play. Why would you have a 113 isolated like that?
It didn't feel like their other rounds where it was structured. This felt a little bit more loose, and it wasn't, I don't know, it felt off. I mean, if they climbed on A3 with Germ, I think that would have been a beautiful play. I think that would have worked, but not like this. I think Kazna here is not going to give up that northern base, because we saw it. Once you lose that northern base and that heavy gets into that A6 position, it just becomes so hard to go anywhere, because there's so many angles. You never know, like you said, blind pushes, and everywhere you go, you can be spotted.
Yeah, well, look at the lineups here, though. Apex coming with an IS-4 and a Lorraine 155, while attacking on steps. Maybe using that IS-4 just like we saw Kazna do, push them up north, get them across A6 and their hold down. Still not impenetrable, but against Batchats, though, the armor should be a bit more effective than some of the other heavy tanks. And then the Lorraine, that's something that we haven't seen a whole lot out of Apex this season, which is just arty in general. They've kind of avoided it, and so seeing it now, you know, looking at the lineups, they only have the two 113s, and then it's all Batchats, which trying to hit Batchats, this is going to be luck. And it looks like Germ's actually lining up towards A8, trying to find the shot on the climb here, just timing it ever so perfectly. We'll have to see if he gets the connection. He fires.
It's going to be a miss, though. Actually, a miss.
Got it.
Some splash damage.
Got some splash damage, so good timing there, not bad.
Good timing there, indeed. But obviously, you know, that RU doesn't need much of HP on that position once he gets camo. That is the thing, though, that RU could deal with the IS-4. I mean, shooting from above onto the top of the turret.
If he has enough heat shells loaded, yeah. The HE shells, I don't know, would really do enough damage.
Exactly, that's where the IS-4 will struggle, I think, because if the RU gets the angles, he can penetrate.
But just to say the same there, the one thing that Apex have this game is they have artillery, which artillery is probably the easiest way to deal with those boost tanks, if you can get them lit.
If you can get them spotted, that's the thing though. IS-4, he's going to need somebody to spot for him as...
It depends on the equipment he has set up too.
Yes, of course. If we've seen that, I remember. Teams in the EU going for that number 2 base, bringing binoculars on their 113s, standing still on the cap to spot the RU. And you see Canadian here, he's on the climb position, and yes, this is a good position, but there are ways to get past and spotted, obviously.
Yep. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but High Voltage at one point, they were going for the double mouse strat on this map. I don't remember if you were still on the team at that point. I think that was after you left. But they brought double mouses, and they were leaving them in the north with binos doing that exact thing. So
well, I think I was there when they proposed, and I kept saying no, but I couldn't play at the time, so they brought 2 mouses anyways. Just to annoy me, I was like, okay.
I see how it is, guys.
I see how it is, yeah, exactly. But now, I'm gonna have to see what Kazna's way is to deal with this. I mean, the one thing here you have to note, to Apex's position, you know, with Canadian being on that position on the climb, he kind of leaves H4 open. Where is the potential to push that heavy across into that C5 pocket, but unpunished?
Yeah, and look at the path that the IS-4 is actually taking here. He's cutting across the C line right now, or the D line anyways. I kind of imagined it going up towards A4, making the cross up there and getting towards A6, then having to support him from that spot, but it seems to not be the case right now.
Alien there, a little bit slow. He got spotted and he decided to turn his tank around before running, and he has to be careful as Canadian. If he comes closer, I think he will have draw range onto him if he gets spotted again.
Well, and Germ is also in a spot with that Lorraine where he might be able to land a shot, and there out goes one shot. I don't know if it connected though or not.
I'd say no.
It was going to be close. There's not a whole lot of space beyond that rock.
I know,
so.
but I think Alien might. But by the way, Akula got spotted. It seemed like Alien moved forward again into the bush. So Akula peeked, he got spotted, which kind of said Alien was back in the bush, and Germ shot behind the rock.
Fair. And Alien, if you look at his HP right now, got out of there pretty much scot-free.
That is lucky timing on his part.
Yeah, exactly.
But now, like, Photo does get spotted. Now Apex, I mean, Photo has to be really careful. I want to see what Ethan can do against him. I don't think he's going to be bringing optics or binos. That surprised me. It would surprise me.
And look at Photo just pushing across here. He does get spotted. Are you, like we said, looking for some shots towards the IS-4, but I don't know if he's really going to be able to do a whole lot.
His positioning, he does expect the RU to be there. I mean, he was blind firing towards that, so he does expect that. But Germ here playing the RD, I mean, I know he can play Artie, but it's like you have Artie players and then you have the niche, you know, like the real Artie players, the ones that can do the difference. And I don't know if Germ's that player. I don't know if he can do it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not Artie's not something we saw out of Apex a lot this season. So when they have brought it, it's been him that's stepped into it. And he's always, when he's done it, it's never been anything spectacular, no instant one-shots, but he's also done consistent damage, and Canadian Impact just getting lit up by all these bat shots, and he's down to a one-shot already.
This is the thing, though. They expected this to happen, Kazna crew, because they haven't had played against them already, so they expected it. They put 2 bat shots ready to aim Diplomat here. Gets ammo racked, uses both his repair kits for that. Not ideal situation, but the cap does get stopped here, so that's good. And with Canadian being such low HP, there's always the potential for Kazna to counter climb. It's not the hardest in the game, it's doable. And they know he's down to such low HP, and that's a lot of info for Kazna.
But they do have the bat chat sitting over here at F2, so if they try to counter push and they get spotted, they could bleed a lot of HP, and it looks like they're going to push towards the middle road instead. They know that Apex are going to be distracted, worried about Canadian Impact, and they're going to rotate through the north, and they might find... No, they call it off. They only move Alien there. They could have found that isolation onto photo finish right then and there.
Yeah, but it's interesting to know that Dodo, in the meantime, got up to that climb position in the north, so that's a lot of info there as well. I mean, you can see Kazna here. I don't think they're going to be catched by this rotation from Apex.
Well, they don't have anyone in position. They're just worried about spotting Impact. I don't know that they'll spot this push coming out of Apex.
Diplomat here takes another shot, while Dodo, he's trying to connect those. He needs to play very careful, but it's very hard to connect those shots in the bat shot. And Diplomat there, but there's still Artie to deal with. And Stefan here, can he spot it out? He gets spotted, he's spotting Nits. That is a lot of information. He takes a shot though, but 2 shots actually, but that is a lot of information for him.
Very risky out of Canadian Impact. The one-shotter is poking off, getting the shot, and Alien
he goes down.
Takes him down from the middle road, opening up a different angle towards that ridge. Like I said, it was risky that he poked out to begin with. Got the one shot off, but Alien in that middle road, a different angle that I don't think Canadian Impact was looking for.
I didn't even expect that. I was like, Canadian, he should be safe. Perhaps he stayed a little bit, you know, too high to like try to get a second shot, and Alien there in position to deal with it. But this counter push here from Kazna, it could work out as a Kula and Nits. They're both reloading at this point, and he did not expect this.
So bad. External's the only one with shots right now.
Yeah, but they lose Akula already, and there's 3 bat shots there from Kazna crew. Alien has joined them now as well, and they are making decisive players now. Nits, he's going to be the next one, and I don't think Apex can do anything about this, as now Germ is spotted in the RT as well. He should be going down, and this is good stuff here from Kazna crew. We talked about steps being their map. Well, they're proving it.
Yep, and they're going to tie it up 3-3, and unless Apex has some miracle they can pull out of their sleeve right now. And that's going to leave it to Cliff. Now, if Cliff goes 1-1, then we go to Prokhorovka, which Apex has played pretty well this season. But that's still going to be 2 rounds that they got to pull off on, or 1 round they have to pull off on Cliff.
Dodo does pick up theirs in the meantime, but Photo is kind of left alone here by his teammates. And now Isna came off the mountain as well. They will be making short work of him and Kazna crew here. Yes, the HP is even. You have to keep that into account. But gun in the game, 2 bad shots versus 5 tanks from Kazna crew. No real potential here.
Yep, well, the bat chats are actually going to push in and take out these heavies here. Now, they could clean them up and run away before the bat chats get in for Kazna crew, but I don't think they're going to be quick enough.
That was a nice high roll there, 456. I would like to have those rolls as well one day. As external, he does go down to a 1-shot. Dodo might be able to pick up Alien, but the thing is, Vetso is full HP, and there's no way he can kill him.
Well, if he can get down Diplomat and run away, he might be able to salvage this. There goes his ammo rack. He still has his repair kit. You have to get it. Doesn't. If he had gotten that 1 shot, he might have had a chance. Maybe. It's the Doma, so I wouldn't put it past him, but still asking a lot.
Yeah, and we talked about steps being Kazna crew's map, and it was.
Yep, you were right. So, looking at it, but now we go on to Cliff, which this is a map that, like we talked about, Kazna crew, for not just this season, but for many seasons, have really struggled on. So we'll have to see what they can do versus Apex. And like I said, this is a map that Apex really didn't play a whole lot this time. If I recall, I think it was they played it 6 times in total this season.
I'm going to give this a 1-1, I think.
It would not surprise me 1-1, and then I would go on to Prokhorovka, which is something that Apex have played pretty well. They actually won the North American region on this map. So they went 2-1 versus Eclipse. It ended up being the last map and the tiebreaker. So they've shown that they can play it. Now, once again, it kind of comes down to which side they pick going into it. Whoever had the fastest attacking win, which, thinking back, attacking wins, they would have to go to Himmelsdorf, I think.
Yeah, the Himmelsdorf hands down Apex on the attack. Yep, for sure. I mean, External here did nice damage, but the play from Apex, it felt like Kazna read it pretty well. Obviously, that climb has been used against Kazna as well. I think it was Ding even that used it against him and did really destroy them. Or no, it was actually, sorry, it was Utopia that used it exactly against them on steps as well, and they lost that round as well. So they expected it.
Yep, and even Canadian Impact, who was up there on that boost. That angle from Alien in the middle road, I didn't even know that angle existed there. It has to be just on the edge of draw range.
Honestly, I think that Canadian probably stayed a little bit too high to get the second shot in, and that is what punished him. Alien probably had a shot on him that way. But momentum here with Kazna now, though, and that last round, I mean, their rotations were spot on, and especially when both Akula and Nitz were reloading, that was very unfortunate.
Now here's the question. We've talked a lot about Kazna Crew's history on this map. Do you think having that history in the back of their head is going to kind of get into their heads right now? Is going to kind of, slip in, kind of go like, guys, this is a map we haven't played that well. Do you think it's going to kind of ruin their confidence a little bit?
Depends what side they play on, I'd say. If you play defense, you have that advantage of being able to play slow it down and think about your moves. If they had to play attack, well, they did not look good on that at all. And one of the things what I remind very well about the finals is that they were very impatient. Their play felt impatient. There was Vetso in that position on the one line, the climb there on that one line position on the climb. And he's like, okay, I'm leaving this position because we were listening to the team speaks. And then like 30 seconds after, Utopia pushed down 1-2 line and they would have been able to completely wreck the entire team.
Yep, and looking at the lineups that would come in here.
M40? Okay.
That is an interesting lineup out of Apex. An M40, 43, and 6 bat chats. That's not something I'm used to seeing out of them, to be quite honest. And then Kazna Crew, 5 bat chats, a T54 lightweight, and a TVP, a much more standard lineup for the map. The M40, 43 makes me says that Apex is attacking, but I could be wrong. So we'll have to see in a second.
Yeah, indeed. And M40 on the attack, I mean, we've seen it on the defense before, but it's so hard to really utilize it on the attack. And we're gonna have to see how Germ can perform in this one, because on steps, it wasn't that great.
Yeah, definitely, but he can set up with an angle towards E5, E6, try to get some early damage off towards the hill. Maybe if he gets lucky, put one into the engine compartment of the Batchat, which is pretty much penetration right then and there, deletes the Batchat off the field like we've seen a lot this season. Photo finish, lights Yasni doesn't know where he is, takes a blind fire kind of towards the bush, assuming he's back there somewhere, but doesn't know for certain.
Isna has to be careful though. I mean, Kazna has a lot of control here so far. They haven't gone super aggressive. I mean, they've just taken control so far, and Germ, he's aiming on that ramp right now, and you can see that M40, very big reticle.
Well, look at Canadian Impact in the back there. He's getting up towards the climb on the back of the hill, it looks like. And Stefan taking the shot, 446.
Really unnecessary to take both of those. I mean, I don't understand why. That position is counterable, obviously, and Apex did set up for it, and he's now down to half HP. And Kazna doesn't have hill control, and like you said, Canadian will be taking that very soon, and it's a very strong position. If he gets all the way up, then have to start worrying a little bit for Kazna Crew.
Yep. Now Photo Finish gets spotted over there, and the thing is look at this positioning out of Kazna Crew. Very aggressive towards F2, F3. Sitting there, they'll have good shots towards the tanks they have left on the hill. I don't think that they know that Canadian Impact has basically climbed up onto the hill from the 9-line side. He should be up there in a minute. He should be able to light a lot of these tanks.
He's spotted now. He is spotted now. German lets off a shot. 495 onto Alien. Ah, this is what I like. I like when people bring medkits on their Batchat, because it frustrates me seeing Cliff and like the first shot knocks out a gunner, and then you pretty much have a dead tank for the rest of the game.
Yeah, well, it's even more disappointing though when you don't bring a fire extinguisher and you take one shot from an RU-251 that sets you on fire and you burn out for 1,000. It's just, what can you do at that point? That gamble bringing rations has never been something that I've been a huge fan of in particular.
Isna here went aggressive against photo finish and doesn't really have any support except for Vetso behind him.
Well, those bat shots up on the hill, especially at that F3 position, they should have some shots down there.
So they got some damage on him. He might have been unspotted, but he saw 456 damage upon spotting, so that's good as Alien takes a shot here in Apex. I'd favor them in this situation right now. I mean, they have the hill control, they have the angles, and so far so good, I'd say.
Yep, well, and look at this. Are they backing out to go push the 1 line? No, they're just pulling out to regroup in general. I was kind of worried about Yizny trying to go for photo, but I don't think they'd realize exactly how many bat shots are sitting there watching that G2 corner, hoping Yizny comes out. They're actually going to regroup and go take the hill. Canadian Impact does spot him. He gets a tracking shot off, but now he knows that the bat shots are rotating over there, so it's going to be interesting to see what Apex do at this point.
Yeah, Canadian there, 366. The first shot was a track shot, but did get Haiba to use his repair card, which is very important, and you can see how desperately they're hugging that rock in fear of Germ letting loose a shot in that M40.
And they have Yizny down to a 1-shot, or no, they don't. He's down to 844. A bounce comes off the bat shot.
That's fortunate, but they will lose Isna here in return, but Dodo, I think, went down to a 1-shot himself, and Isna here will try to do as much as he can. He's now a 2-shot, and perhaps he'll get at least 1 more shot of damage at the very least. So they're going to make Apex pay to make this play, and now Isna, he's trying to run around the rock here, which is maybe not the best thing to do at that point, as Dodo picks him up from the back. Isna's the first one to go down here, but in return, Dodo, that gunner.
Yep, well, very smartly, Canadian Impact actually rotated around from the north end to the south end of the hill down now. And what that does is that makes it so if Kazna crew push up onto the hill like they have, if they try to go get him, all these guns sitting in the south will have clean shots on him, which he didn't have when he was in the north.
But theirs is not safe there, by the way. Like, against German M40, with that splash range, it does...
Just like that, as you say, at 230. Little by little.
That it was the shell landed kind of far. You can see the smoke there. If it landed just next to the building, that's 600, 700 splash.
Absolutely. And looking at it, Diplomat's also not even safe there. A shot could easily arc over that mountain and slam into the side of that TVP.
Yeah, indeed. And Kazna crew, they still have to hold on for 5 minutes here. I'm still favoring Apex in this one. I mean, I think they have the superior position. It's all about making the correct rotations. I think they need to get a bunch of more tanks pretty much on that hill where Canadian is. Like, I understand that they've been sitting back for long trying to get Kazna to go aggressive because they have the M40, but now it's time to start climbing pretty much and start taking control of the map step by step.
Yeah, well, and Canadian Impact's pushing forward, trying to spot for Germ. Germ just looking for the shots right now.
He could hit that. Let's see.
He's just looking for the shot.
Let's off the shot.
Fires.
Let's see. Oh, 183. There's there. Imagine if he just went poof. I remember Simp at the Grand Finals where Drynitz pretty much solo wrecked NSS on Nuremberg. So.
Yep, well, that also happened against them. I believe it was
Kusuk.
Yeah, Kusok, V-Pro.
Shotku. Oh, that was.
That had to have given him nightmares for weeks.
Yeah, poor photo. I remember that. That was one of the most damage-dealing RD rounds I've ever seen. That was just great. But now, I mean, he did do a little bit of damage, and any damage is better than none. And look at theirs. This is the thing as well with RD. That crew damage is very annoying.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, the one phrase I use a lot is death by paper cuts. Now, it's not as bad with an M40, 43 to a certain extent, just because if he's not getting those connections, he has a 40-second reload. However, if he gets a nice big connection somewhere, that could be the difference. And it looks like Durs is just poking up here towards Canadian Impact, and I wonder if, because Germ should be off reload about now, so he might be lining up for a second shot. But meanwhile, the push coming out of Apex towards the donut, they might catch Elian and Stefan out, but they're playing in safe positions right now, just poking up and over.
And playing it passively though, and this could catch Apex off guard if they don't play it very, very carefully. They have an HP lead, but time is starting to run down more and more. They need to go, well, they need to start being decisive.
Yep, and the bat shots in the south for Apex are also closing right now. They're coming around towards the hill. Looks like they're going to opt not to go out to the 9 line. They're just going to go straight towards it.
This is the thing though, now when Apex is starting to make these plays, starting to make aggressive stance, they start taking damage. The Cool already took 700 and everywhere they go, Kazna crew should punish them, and they can't do this for much longer. 2 minutes and 23 seconds, they need to make a play pretty much, because Diplomat from that position, if they let him do more and more, is going to be not that great. Stefan here takes a shot though, and he has to play it very carefully on that position there. But it's still on to Apex here with 2 minutes left, and I don't think Stefan is safe from Artie either.
No, he's not going to be Artie safe in Canadian Impact. There's so many angles he has to worry about, and only that little mound there to protect him. Canadian Impact could easily open up some shots. The Nits over on the one line still could. And Canadian Impact actually poking up, taking a shot, however...
Finally, he took a shot. They've been shooting so much at him.
He's gotten off a couple of clips without taking any damage.
But look at the time though, this is starting to worry me, because that seemed like the shot from German, the artillery missing. They'll have about 2 more left before the end of the round, and now they're pushing across. Is this the final play?
Yeah, well, they have to distract that TVP, because if that TVP supports Haiba up on the hill, Canadian Impact's not going to be able to finish them. They're going to push across. They're going to lose a lot of damage. They had a 1500 HP lead, and now it's basically gone at this point. Canadian Impact hasn't pushed over onto Haiba, which he needed to do at that exact moment. Now the TVP's halfway through his clip. He's going to be reloaded, and he's going to be able to pump it out. And there's only a minute left for Apex. And finally, Stefan goes down, but there's still 5 guns left alive. And they need to do something big here.
They take down Stefan, but when External went in, there was no support from his teammates. He just drove around solo, full HP bad shot, and there was no support whatsoever. They have one more shot from Germ. Germ shoots. Does he connect onto Haiba? Nope.
Just straight over.
And that is, he will have one more shot, but with like a few seconds left. This is the final play. Kula comes in, also solo. He goes down, and Kazna crew, they seem to be holding on. Durs is now taking damage. Nitz is taking all the damage in the back line there. He does pick up Durs, but he should be going down in return here any second. But with 30 seconds left on the clock, Haiba is going to go for Canadian, who is a 2-shot with 1 crew member alive. Haiba misses the first. Can he still pick it up? No, he's on reload, but so is Canadian. Haiba might be going down here towards Dodo. He does, but 17 seconds is just not enough time for Apex. They let it go down way too much. And now Vetso, all he needs to do is survive, pretty much.
Well, and Alien's down in the low ground. It looks like Photo Finish will go clean him up, but just not enough at this point. They gave it a good effort, but just not going to be enough here late in the round. And that is going to put it in favor of Kazna crew, despite being 3-1 down.
Yeah, I really thought Apex had an advantage in this round, but it took them so long to make a decisive play, and don't know if I agree with the one they went for, going straight down the middle, and External went alone. I mean, we see this play, but you need to, like you said, you need to have more tanks where Canadian is and take an overmatch there at the same time. So when the TVP is reloading.
Well, and once again, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with the positions they're in, but first they had the one tank over the middle by himself and got isolated out. None of their guns were in a position to really support him. And then what happened was Canadian Impact, he could have gone over onto the Batchat on the north once they knew that TVP was firing, because he had the HP lead on him and they had equal shots. So he could have cleaned out that Batchat and that would have finished that off. And he could have done that before the TVP finished reloading and was able to support him, because none of the other guns on his team were in a position to really deal with it. And if there's a major push going over in the middle, they're not going to be able to turn to help him out. So it could have finished off the tank on the hill and then kind of regrouped. It still would have been extremely close, and I don't know that I necessarily agree with that either. But looking at it, Diplomat, just in that TVP that I was just talking about, just did 3K, and most of that just comes from the tanks pushing over the middle, just gets off full clips on tanks in the wide open with no support.
He had a dead gunner most of that round as well, by the way. So that's still pretty impressive. Like, I think Apex's play, it would have worked if they had maybe one more tank where Canadian was, and as soon as they go down the middle, at least they take an overmatch on the hill and clear that out, because then the TVP, like you said, he's reloading and he can't do anything. But the way they did it just felt so disjointed. There was no push together, just External going into the middle and everybody else trying to shoot, but obviously that TVP is not going to get spotted.
Yep, well, exactly. And so that's what I'm saying. If they had done it as a team, they had pushed all over through the middle as a team and baited those shots from the TVPs, yeah, they would have taken the damage, but at the same time, the Batchat could go over and they might come out decent on the trade. They had about 1,500 HP to play with. They had an advantage, so it wouldn't have been the worst idea in the world. Is it a perfect push or the greatest idea? No, but I'd still see some potential there for it to work if the coordination is perfect. However,
it wasn't.
It was nowhere near what it needed to be for it to come off.
No, indeed, and you said it, 3-1. doesn't seem like it's going to be enough after all. Now, they do get to defend, so they have that going for them, but I wonder how this affects their mental state though, because losing this amount of rounds in a row, even the calmest teams get really affected by this, and resetting from that point on, you're like, oh, we're 3-1 and now we're 4-3 down. It's like,
and we have to win this round to force overtime to still have a chance. I mean, a win right now for Apex would be huge just in terms of just rearranging how this group plays out and who makes it to the playoffs. But, you know, even if Apex dropped this right now, they still have to play L Gaming, because you have to imagine Kazna Crew will beat L Gaming. No, you know, at least if you were to predict it right now.
I think they will beat EL Gaming as long as they don't play on Cliff.
Fair enough. So, but I mean, apparently Cliff isn't their weak spot after all. I mean, they still have one more round, but they looked fairly decent there.
You know what I love when we say Kazna's going to beat EL Gaming? I can just see Jordan, Elfish guy in the audience, shaking his head like, no, 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 no. Oh, poor man. He's going to have so many tears after this event.
Yeah, you might need to go buy him a present afterwards.
A box of tissues, perhaps.
Yep, I'm looking at it. Lineups coming in here for round number 8.
Ooh, okay.
Interesting lineup out of Kazna Crew.
This is something I haven't seen in a long time. I don't even remember ever seeing it. A 430 version
2 and a tier 9 bat. I mean, we saw it earlier out of Apex, but not out of Kazna.
Not on Cliff, though. I mean,
and attacking. So, an Apex coming in here with...
I mean, there's a few positions where he could work. You know where Dodo was on that little hill?
Mm-hmm.
The 430 version 2 can play from there as well. Quick shooting.
Good camo.
Good camo. He won't get spotted. People like to put a TVP there, but what do you do with it later on in the round?
Yeah, well, is it worth dropping the tier 8 lineup for to bring the double tier 9s, and then you bring a tier 9 bat instead? Does it really give you that big an advantage instead of just, you know, using a tier 10 there like we saw last game? And 3 tanks for Apex doing the climb in the south here, maybe trying to catch Kazna Crew off.
So far, nothing. And
look at the positioning out of Kazna Crew. They actually have Veko and Yizni over here. Yizni sitting at G1 in the low ground, but Veko backing him up on the climb here at
this was
J1.
The climb that he left at the season finals, and then Utopia came down that 1-2 line, and he could have really done a lot. And he's in a good position, and they're trying to buy and fire Isna. Don't think they'll find him so far, but just recalled what I remember to 430 version 2 from Navi. Their season finals, Anatolic played that, and he plays around the ramp or high buys as well, and because of the low profile, it makes it very hard to shoot back at.
Okay, that makes more sense now. Looking at Dodoma just sitting here in the bush, trying to see if he gets spotted. Are they all just going to rotate out?
I don't know why they at least don't keep control over one, but it's hard to keep control over 1-2 line, because if the counter push comes in, we've seen it a few times, you kind of lose one tank for free. External here, playing on the hill. Let's see if he can get the shot. It's a very, very tight angle.
Trades back and forth between them, between External and this other bat shot. Stefan.
Stefan doesn't have a damaged gun though. He does repair it now. So, I mean, nobody really came out more favorable in that trade exchange. I think Stefan was fine trading because obviously he got the first shot. So if External keeps speaking, External will go down before him. It's just the way reloads work. But
well, look at this out of Apex. They've rotated almost all their bat shots up onto the hill, including Dodoma's trying to get up there right now.
And Durs gets his gunner damage on the first shot. Oh boy, he didn't be kidding himself about that one. That is super annoying. But I like the rotation from Apex though. I mean,
well, and they need to follow through at this point. They have a huge overmatch. They don't quite necessarily know where everyone is from Kazna Crew, but if they were to push through right now, you have to think that they'd have a nice big overmatch. Those two bat shots are out of position, and while this is all going on, those two bat shots that I'm talking about are taking up position on the 2 line. And now all of a sudden map control is going to be in favor of Kazna, and it's going to be Apex bottled in here.
Canadian tries to make the shot against Durs though, but Stefan is covering for now. 1 bounce, 1 penetration, and Canadian has to be careful as he cannot go for that play. There's too many cover for Kazna Crew right now, and they are spotted out in the 1-2, and it seems like taking some damage as well. He's not and Vetso, and Apex again in a good situation this round, and there is still a 5 position to deal with. And you know, the way Isna and Vetso are playing right now, they could take some damage. Ooh, but Dodo here Very lucky that that one missed.
Yep, and you have to remember right now, it's Kazna on match point. External getting lucky not to get hit a couple of times. Some blind shots going out towards him, and he's
He
just
should have gone down for that.
He should have gone down. He has a one shot of HP, 390 at this point. Extremely fortunate.
But here comes Alien, and Dodo just pressed reload if he goes aggressive, but Photo, he's covering. He gives one shot to Alien. Alien's like, yeah, no, thank you, I'm not going to go for that. But still, Apex is in the favorable position here. You have to give it to them. External there, I still stand by it. I think he should have gone down, and that one miss there, it might come to bite Kazna in the end, looking at it.
Yep, well, as I was about to say, look at the scoreline. It's 4-3 in favor of Kazna. Apex need this win to force overtime. It doesn't even going to win. Kazna crew, if they can hold on here, get and pick up the win on attack, they could walk away with the first win in the group.
Yeah, indeed. And Vetso here, it's very annoying where German's in with his T-54 Lightweight, because every time you try and peek, obviously he spots you. This gives information towards Apex, and they just have to hold on here pretty much. And they're doing all right so far. Canadians now pulling back as well. Vetso takes a shot, even more HP going in favor of Apex. And Kazna here, I don't know if there's a real opening for them in this round. They don't even have hill control. That's the thing. If you want to make a play, you really need that hill control. But Nitz is firmly in control of that so far.
Well, if you look at it, almost Apex has 5 of their 7 tanks dedicated just towards controlling that hill. And then the other 2, Germ, who we haven't even talked about this game, is just sitting passive over at B3, just spotting the 1-2 line. And then Photo Finish, like we talked about earlier, sitting up there on that A5 climb where he could support either a cap if he needs to. He's ready to support some sort of push onto the bad shots, and he's ready to support Germ and get some free damage off there. And it leaves Kazna crew with not a whole lot of options. They either need to group up and try to just take some sort of push over the top of the hill right now, or they need to try to open up one of the cap circles, but I don't see either happening.
No, I also think that they need to move Diplomat into a position where he can be effective right now, because I don't think Apex is going to make any more aggressive plays at this point. They know that time is running in their favor. And Kazna, I mean, we see the obvious play, which is a lot of the times where the attacker dominates the hill, then they push down 1-2 line to spot the TVP. Dodo does take a shot there from Vetso. But we see that a lot, where they go 1-2 line, they spot out Germ, the TVP shoots because he wants to help his teammate, he gets spotted, and then they get shot from the hill. But now Apex have so many tanks on this hill, and Kazna really didn't stop them from taking it, that it becomes very hard for them.
Yep, no, I like the play out of Apex too. They got very aggressive on that 2-3 line, looked for any shots they could on anything pushing the hill or anything coming out of the donut, and then they just backed out. They rotated over and they just stacked up and got up onto the hill. And I'm kind of surprised that Kazna weren't in a better position to punish them pushing up onto the hill late like that.
Yeah, indeed, it's very weird. But Kazna can still do it. He'd have some time, but just like with Apex, I don't want them to go down below that 2-minute mark before they make their play, because then it becomes all very stressful when the reloads start going. You're like, you have to go aggressive. Well, you don't want to go aggressive.
But you have to.
But you have to, because, you know, there's only, after you reload, there's a minute. Then a cliff is a map that you can hide, obviously, and if you let it go to 10 seconds, the only thing they have to do is slide into the water.
Yep, and then you have, you know, these batch hats that have 35-second reloads, so, you know, when you leave yourself a minute or two, you know, that means that you have to get through a full clip and then reload in time to get another shot off, and hopefully so no one pushes on you. And meanwhile, they're going to push around and get Germ. The Photo Finish finally lit. He's able to get some shots off. Now he needs to be careful because the rest of the guns from Kazna should be looking for shots on him, but very fortunate. Germ finally goes down.
He takes down Germ at least, and Photo is now forced to that position. So a little bit more hill control here going in the way of Kazna, and now Akula slightly set on fire. That does have a fire extinguisher, and this is better for Kazna crew here, because now Alien and Vetso, they will be starting to get shots on towards that hill area. Now Kazna just has to hold that hill, wait for Apex to play, because once Vetso and Alien come off reload, they're going to start being shot in the back of the turret.
Yep, and this is the opportunity that Apex need to push up and over, because there aren't too many guns supporting just Diplomat in the south, who's focusing out Nitz right now. Canadian Impact's going to push around, trying to find Nitz, and Akula is also going to push around. They use one person to absorb the shots. The rest are going to push around, knowing that that batch hat in the back is out.
Yep.
Go down.
Look at
finally
the
gets them.
damage. Look at the damage Apex is taking for this. The HP lead they had is completely gone. Akula goes down. Haiba's now pushing on towards Doroma as well. External goes down, and it feels like Kazna, they figured out how to break this defense from Apex, and 3-1 down. They are going to recover from it and win the first match here at the New York Rumble. As Dodoma goes down, it's just photo finish Canadian and Nits standing, and with just Nits and Canadian standing, it's all over for Apex.
Yep, they came so close. You know, I said early on that to have a chance, they needed to get that 3-1 lead, which they had. But there just wasn't enough between Steps and Cliff. You know, you think that Apex would be able to pick up a round on one of them and at least force overtime, because at least Proc, you know, that they have to be. You think they're on even ground with Kazna Crew and Proc, but not being the case, they were able to turn it around, even things up, and just looking at it, finally it's going to be Kazna.
13 seconds left on the cap. Nits running, but Diplomat full HP should pick him up here. It's actually Haiba. There will be Kazna Crew picking up the victory here against Apex 5-3, and that was an impressive comeback.
Yep, no, and we talked about it.